Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel, for those of you who are new. And today I'm going to be doing my top three favorite Instant Pot recipes. Now, I don't actually have an Instant Pot, but I have the crock pot version, but it is a pressure cooker. So a friend of mine reached out to me. She told me that she noticed that I had been doing a lot of using my crock pot a lot in some of my videos, and asked if I could share some recipes that I've been using. So these are our top three. This is the first recipe of three, and it's called pollo guisado. It's basically like a Puerto Rican chicken stew. I grew up eating this a lot, and this was one of my favorites as a kid. So let me show you what you'll need for this recipe. It's very, very simple, and we'll get started. First thing you're going to need is drumsticks. I usually just get like a party pack size. Then seasonings I use are the Goya Adobo all-purpose seasoning. This I use pretty much on anything. Eggs, chicken, beef, you name it, I'll use it. And then sofrito, you can, now my mom used to make this from scratch, so did my grandma. But then I found this beautiful thing at Walmart, and I started using it. It just saves a ton of time, and it tastes great. So this is a tomato cooking base, and it has green peppers, onions, cilantro, and garlic and olive oil. So you can use it for rice, beans, chili, stews, soups. It's pretty much a staple in any Puerto Rican kitchen. Now, I probably would be frowned upon if people saw this, but I don't care. It's okay. It saves me time, and with 3 kids and having to get dinner on the table quickly, I'll use it. And then the last one, or the last seasoning part, is the sazon Goya, and I use the cilantro and achiote. And I probably use about 3 to 4 packets, depending on how much, on how much meat. But since I'll be using all of this, I'll probably use 4. And then the last is a can of tomato sauce. I also use about 4 cups of water, but I'll add that in later. Then it's pretty simple on the veggies. You can kind of add what you want, but the bases are usually, you see regular potatoes used, but we don't really eat regular potatoes, so I used a sweet potato and a few carrots. This is a pretty large sweet potato, so 1 should be fine. Sweet potato, what are you doing? Silly goose. And then I will cook up some brown rice to go with it. And this I usually, so what I do with, okay, Michaela. So what I do with the brown rice is after the pollo guisado, the stew, is done cooking, I'll remove almost everything except for maybe a couple cups of the liquid that's left over. And then I will use that liquid to make the brown rice. That way it flavors it. So it goes really well together, and it tastes great. So let's get started on this recipe. Hope you enjoy. I have my crock pot set up, and I'm going to put it on brown saute and start, and I'm going to add a tiny bit of olive oil just so the chicken doesn't stick, and I will throw all the chicken into the pot while I chop up these veggies. So I will get started on that. So now I put the chicken in while I finished cutting up all the vegetables. I added the 4 cups of water. I used 4 tablespoons. So I used 4 tablespoons of the Goya sofrito. And I used pretty much an entire 8-ounce container of tomato sauce. I didn't like scrape it out completely. And as you saw, I don't measure this. I just kind of sprinkle it in. I color with it. And when it looked good, then I stop. So once I do that, I added in all of the chopped up veggies and stirred everything together. And now I am going to cover it and cook it for about 15 minutes. So I'm going to stop it and then do beans and chili is kind of like the manual version of the crock pot. So then I go down to about 15 minutes and start. So we will see you when everything is done. Okay, so the food has finished and it's been on keep warm. I let it naturally release. All right. Let's take a look inside. It looks delish. Let's stir it up. All the veggies are nice and tender. Now I'm going to take this out and put the rice in. And like I said, I usually reserve some liquid from this for the rice just to flavor it a bit. So get that done and then see the finished product here in a few minutes. And this is the finished product. So I added some brown rice and put all the chicken and veggies on top. And that is how we eat our pollo guisado. Welcome back. Today we are going to be doing another one of my favorite crock pot, instant pot recipes. It is broccoli beef. And right here I believe I have just over 2 pounds of tri-tip roast. And this will feed our family of 5. And we have plenty of leftovers. And the other ingredients that you're going to need for the sauce is, let's see here. This is for the sauce. Crushed garlic, soy sauce. I use tamari because it's gluten-free. Brown sugar, but instead of that I use honey. And some sesame oil. It also calls for ginger, but my husband has a ginger allergy, so we don't use it. And then it also calls for beef broth. But since I don't normally have that on hand, I just use my Better Than Bouillon chicken to make a broth for the sauce. The cornstarch, you can either leave it or add it. I usually just leave it out because it's not that much sauce anyway, and we usually have ours with like brown rice. So I figured I usually just omit this. I think I used it once, but I just figured I'd show you. So I'm going to cut the steak across the grain and then saute it in the crock pot until it's all the way cooked. And I will show you what I do with the sauce once I get that ready. And then once the steak is done browning on both sides, or kind of has that like brown look to it, then you add the sauce and put the lid on. So I will cut the steak and be back to show you how I add the sauce and everything into the crock pot.
everything is mixed up, I'm going to turn off the crock pot and then hit the beans and chili, which is like the manual version, and then set the timer for 10 minutes. Put the lid on, make sure that the valve is closed, and then you're going to start the crock pot. After the timer goes off, you want to let the pressure naturally release for the next 10 minutes. And once that is done, you are free to turn off the crock pot. I usually leave it all warm. Today I turned it off because we were leaving not too long after this. But turn off the crock pot or leave it all warm. You can open the lid, and this is when you would add the broccoli in. The type of broccoli you add is up to you. I had some already frozen in our freezer, and I basically just steamed it and then poured everything into the finished meat and stirred it around. You can use fresh or frozen broccoli. It's easier to just steam it in the microwave with, usually I just put it in a glass bowl with about 2 to 3 tablespoons of water and put the lid on the bowl and steam it for about 4 to 5 minutes. This is our finished product. We've had it with ramen, we've had it with brown rice, and it is absolutely delicious. I will link the recipe for this one below.
Welcome back to our little cooking video that I'm doing. So I said I was going to do 3 crockpot recipes, and this is the 3rd and final crockpot recipe. Crockpot, instant pot, kind of pressure cooker. So I am going to be doing chicken nachos today. This is my go-to party meal when I have a lot of people over. And today we are celebrating Adrian and Michaela's birthdays. Adrian's birthday is actually tomorrow. She will be 4. Michaela turned 2 on the 14th. So we're combining their parties, and this is what I'm going to be making for the meal. I love it because you can do whatever you want with it. You can make tacos out of these. You can make, I just use nachos. So I get like tortilla chips, shredded cheese, guacamole, sour cream if you want. You can add so much to it and make it your own. My mother-in-law is going to be making rice, so we usually add that to it also. So let me show you what we're working with. All right. So the first thing is, I normally use regular chicken breasts, but this is what we had in our freezer, so I figured that would be yummy. We're just going to use the honey chipotle chicken breast that I get from Costco. We had 2 packets from from the whole thing that are left over, so I'm going to throw those in there. I have my Instant Pot or crock pot pressure cooker on brown saute. I'm going to toss in a little bit of olive oil, let it get nice and cooked on the outsides, and then I'm going to pour in this entire container of paste picante sauce. I always get the mild because I am a wimp when it comes to spice. My sister-in-law is making salsa, so if anybody wants extra spice, they can add it that way. And then, again, this is not my normal that I use, but because this is already like a chipotle kind of spice, and then I'm adding the paste picante sauce, I decided to just go for more flavor instead of more spice. So if I use regular chicken breast, I will use taco seasoning. But since I'm using the honey chipotle, I'm going to use the Sazon Goya seasoning. And I'll probably just use maybe 3 packets. I'm not sure if I'll use all 4, but we'll see. So let's get this recipe started. so now we have all of the ingredients in. I might just add a little bit of water to this to get the rest of that yummy sauce out. And a little extra liquid won't hurt. And I'll pour that in there. So I put my chicken in first, let it get a little brown on one side. Then I threw in the paste picante sauce over it. And I ended up only using 2 of those packets of the sazon. So just trying to mix it all up. And now I'm going to cover it and cook for about 15 minutes. And the beauty of this is you can do it with frozen chicken. I've done it with chicken breasts that are completely frozen out of the freezer. So just as long as they're separated from each other and not like all clumped together, that's the best. So we're gonna stop this and do beans and chili, and I'll probably put it for about 18 minutes since some of those pieces were not completely thawed out all the way. And now it'll just heat up, and when it's done, I will bring you back and show you how I prepare the rest of the nachos.
Okay, so after the timer goes off for the meat, I let the pressure naturally release for about 10 minutes. And then I opened it up, took the chicken out, and this is how I prep the chicken. I just put it in a separate bowl, and instead of trying to use 2 forks, I used my hand mixer to shred the chicken. It makes it so much easier and does not take much time at all. Once I finish with this, I pour the chicken back into all the juices so that it doesn't dry out. And this, when I recorded this video, it was during my daughter's birthday parties. So we had some family over, I got distracted, and I didn't even get to make myself a plate till almost the end of the party. So I forgot to take a small video of what it would look like, our finished product basically. But I usually serve this with just tortilla chips. We had cheese, we had guacamole. My sister-in-law made some salsa. We had rice. You can make beans. It's so versatile with what you can do for it. But I hope you enjoyed these videos, and if you did, give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button to stick around for more. We'll see you later. Bye.